All right, let's dive right in, shall we? Today, we're taking a deep dive into cardio and how to really make it work for us when we're, aiming for fat loss.
Mhm.
We've all been there trying to figure out the best way to burn those extra calories, get the results we're looking for.
Absolutely.
So we've got two sources to help guide us on this journey.
Yeah.
One is a fitness expert really dives into the science of how our bodies burn calories.
Right.
And then the second source is a list of actually 19 cardio exercises that we can do without needing a gym membership.
Oh, nice.
So ready to kind of decode this cardio puzzle together.
Absolutely. It can be a little confusing sometimes with, all the information out there.
Right.
But I think our fitness expert um, starts off really well just by explaining that the key to fat loss is creating what's called a calorie deficit.
Okay.
So in simple terms, you need to burn more calories than you consume each day.
Right.
So it's like spending less money than you earn.
Got it.
Eventually, your bank account, in this
Right.
case your fat stores, will start to shrink.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do we figure out how many calories we're actually burning? I mean,
Yep.
it's not like we can just look at a number and know for sure, right?
That's where the concept of TDEE comes in,
Okay.
which is total daily energy expenditure.
Gotcha.
And it represents the total number of calories your body burns in a day,
Right?
including everything from your basic bodily functions to your workouts and even fidgeting.
Wait, so even fidgeting burns calories?
Yes.
Maybe I should just, take up knitting or something. But seriously, how do we actually calculate our TDEE?
Well, there are, online calculators that can give you a rough estimate
Okay.
based on your age, gender, weight, and activity level.
Yeah.
But, keep in mind that those are just estimates.
Mm-hmm.
The actual number can vary depending on several factors, including your genetics and body composition.
So it sounds like there's no, magic number that applies to everyone. It's more about understanding, all the factors that influence our calorie burn and then adjusting our activity levels and, food intake accordingly.
Exactly. And what's kind of fascinating is that your TDE isn't just about how much you exercise.
Yeah.
It's also influenced by something called NEAT.
Neat. Sound like something my cat would do.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
NEAT refers to all the calories you burn outside of structured exercise.
Oh, okay.
So things like walking, doing chores, even just standing instead of sitting.
Oh, wow.
All of these activities contribute to your overall calorie expenditure.
Interesting.
And our expert actually recommends aiming for at least 10,000 steps a day just from walking
Okay.
to boost your NEAT.
So basically, even if we can't hit the gym every day, we can still make a big difference just by moving more throughout the day. I
Exactly.
like the sound of that.
Yeah, and speaking of making a difference, the expert also emphasizes that when it comes to creating that calorie deficit for fat loss,
Yeah.
it's crucial to do it strategically.
Oh.
Crash diets and extreme calorie restriction might seem like quick fixes,
Right.
but they often backfire.
Yeah. I've heard horror stories of people, losing weight but ending up feeling weak and sluggish.
Right.
It's like they lost muscle along with the fat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because when you drastically cut calories, your body goes into survival mode
Uh-huh.
and it starts breaking down muscle tissue for energy,
Oh, okay.
which can actually slow down your metabolism in the long run.
And is it muscle? What helps us burn calories?
It's a key player.
So we want to keep the muscle.
Yes, we want to preserve that muscle as much as we can.
Okay, so crash diets are out.
Out.
But what is the right way to create a calorie deficit? What does our expert recommend?
Well, the key is to focus on making gradual and sustainable changes to your diet.
Okay.
Start by identifying areas where you can cut back on calorie-dense foods without feeling deprived.
Right.
Like, for example, could you swap sugary drinks for water or herbal tea? Could you choose grilled chicken over fried? Even small changes like these can add up over time.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's not about punishing yourself with some restrictive diet,
Right?
but rather, just making smarter choices that you can actually stick with in the long run.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Our expert highlights the importance of weight training as a powerful tool for preserving muscle mass while you're in a calorie deficit.
Okay, I've always heard that weight training is important for building muscle,
Mm-hmm.
but I never really understood how it helps with fat loss.
So when you lift weights, you're creating these tiny tears in your muscle fiber.
Oh, okay.
And your body then repairs these tears, making your muscles bigger and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
This process requires energy, which means you're burning more calories even at rest.
Oh, so by building more muscle, we're essentially turning our bodies into like calorie burning machines,
Exactly.
even when we're not working out.
Yes,
That's amazing.
it is. Plus, weight training helps to preserve your muscle mass,
Right.
which is essential for maintaining a healthy metabolism
Right.
and, achieving that lean toned physique many people desire.
Okay, so we've got calorie deficit, strategic dieting, and weight training covered.
Yes.
Where does cardio fit into all of this? Isn't that like what most people think of when they want to lose weight?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cardio plays a huge role, and we're going to dive into that right after the break.
Awesome. Can't wait.
All right, see you in a bit.
So cardio, it's definitely part of the fat loss journey, but it's not the whole story.
Right.
Sounds like we need to be a little strategic with how we approach it.
Absolutely.
So where do we even begin?
Well, our expert points out that one of the most common questions people have about cardio is when is the best time to do it?
Yeah.
Should we squeeze in a run before breakfast, hit the treadmill after our weightlifting session, or dedicate a whole separate day to cardio?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've heard all sorts of conflicting advice over the years.
Right, and there's really no one-size-fits-all answer. The best time for cardio really depends on your individual goals and preferences.
Okay.
So, for example, if your main goal is to build strength and pack on muscle, you might want to prioritize your weightlifting sessions and do your cardio afterward.
Okay, so you've got plenty of energy for the weights first.
Exactly. You'll have plenty of energy to lift heavy and make those gains.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What if someone's more focused on endurance, like training for a marathon or something?
If endurance is your game, it might make more sense to do your cardio first.
Okay.
This can help you improve your cardiovascular fitness and get your body primed for those long runs.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right, well, what about those of us who are just looking to incorporate cardio for overall health and fat loss?
Mm.
Do we have to, like, pick a side?
Not at all.
Okay.
If your goal is general fitness and fat burning, doing your cardio on a completely separate day might be the best option. That way, you can give your full attention and energy to both your weight training and your cardio sessions without feeling drained or sacrificing either one.
Okay, so basically listen to your body and figure out what works best for your schedule and your goals.
Absolutely.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Now, another big question that I think people often have is, how do I know if I'm working hard enough during my cardio workouts?
Yeah.
It's easy to just go through the motions, but how can we be sure we're really challenging ourselves and getting the most out of those sweat sessions?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've definitely been there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not sure if I'm just like taking a leisurely stroll or actually pushing myself to burn those calories.
Well, our expert recommends paying attention to your perceived exertion.
Okay.
Think about how hard you feel like you're working on a scale of 1 to 10,
Okay.
where 1 is super easy, like walking around your house, and 10 is an all-out sprint.
Got it.
For steady-state cardio, like jogging or cycling at a moderate pace, the expert recommends aiming for a 5 or 6 on that scale. You should be able to hold a conversation, but you'll definitely be breathing harder than normal.
Okay, so the talk test
Right.
is a good way to kind of gauge our intensity.
It is.
What about heart rate? I've heard that's important too, right?
It definitely is.
Okay.
Monitoring your heart rate can be another helpful way to make sure you're working at the right intensity. You can use a heart rate monitor or just check your pulse manually during your workout.
Right.
There are formulas you can use to calculate your target heart rate zone based on your age and fitness level.
Okay.
But as a general rule of thumb, aim for about 50 to 70% of your maximum heart rate during steady-state cardio.
This is all starting to make a lot more sense now.
Good.
So we've got the talk test, heart rate monitoring, and that perceived exertion scale to kind of help us fine-tune our cardio intensity.
Exactly.
But what about fasted cardio?
Huh.
I keep hearing about people working out on an empty stomach to burn more fat. Is there any truth to that?
It's a hot topic.
Yeah.
The idea is that when you exercise without eating anything beforehand, your body has to tap into its fat stores for fuel,
Right.
since it doesn't have readily available energy from food.
It sounds logical, but does it really work?
While there's some research suggesting that fasted cardio might slightly increase fat burning, our expert emphasizes that the overall impact is likely to be pretty small.
Okay.
Plus, there are some potential downsides to consider.
Like what?
For some people, exercising on an empty stomach can lead to feeling lightheaded, fatigued, or even nauseous.
Right.
It can also be harder to push yourself during your workout if you don't have any fuel in your tank.
Yeah, if you're running on empty.
Exactly. And if you're lifting weights, having something to eat beforehand can actually help you perform better and build more muscle.
So it sounds like fasted cardio might not be worth the hype.
It might not be for everyone.
Especially if it makes you feel, crummy.
Right, exactly. It's always best to experiment and see what works best for your body. If you're curious about fasted cardio, give it a try. And pay attention to how you feel, but don't feel pressured to do it if it's not your cup of tea.
Right.
There are plenty of other effective ways to burn fat and reach your fitness goals.
All right, so we've covered timing, intensity, and fasted cardio, but let's be honest. Sometimes cardio can feel a bit repetitive,
Yeah,
especially when you're doing the same routine day after day.
it can.
Any tips on how to, keep things interesting and stay motivated?
Absolutely. Remember that list of 19 bodyweight cardio exercises we mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
That's a great place to start when it comes to adding variety to your workouts.
Okay.
Things like jumping jacks, burpees, mountain climbers, and even just dancing around your living room can get your heart rate up and burn calories without any fancy equipment.
I love that. No more excuses about not having a gym membership.
Exactly.
And you know what else? Music can be a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing gets me pumped up for a workout like a killer playlist.
Music is a fantastic motivator. Our expert also recommends switching up your scenery every now and then.
Oh,
If you're tired of the same old treadmill routine, head outside for a walk or bike ride.
yeah.
Explore a new park or trail, get some fresh air and sunshine. It can make a huge difference in your enjoyment and motivation.
Such a good idea. And, sometimes just having a workout buddy can make all the difference.
It can.
Someone to chat with, keep you accountable, and celebrate those fitness wins with.
Absolutely. Having a workout buddy or joining a group fitness class can add an element of fun and social connection to your cardio routine.
Yeah.
Plus, it can help you stay consistent and push yourself a little harder.
So true. It's always more fun to, sweat it out with a friend.
Yeah.
But even with all these tips and tricks, it can still be challenging to stay on track and see those results we're working so hard for.
Right.
Any advice on how to set realistic goals and make sure we're making progress?
Of course, we'll get into all that and more right after a quick break.
So we talked about how to make cardio fun and effective.
Right.
But I think it's time to address the elephant in the room, or maybe the treadmill in the gym. There are so many myths and misconceptions surrounding cardio.
There are.
Do we really have to spend hours slogging away on the elliptical to see results?
It's a common myth, but our expert says no, you don't.
Okay, good.
It's not about how much time you spend doing cardio, but rather the quality of your workout.
So what does that mean exactly?
It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're challenging yourself enough to see results without overdoing it and risking, burnout or injury.
Right.
Remember, consistency is key, so it's important to choose a cardio routine you can stick with.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of myths, I've also heard that doing too much cardio can make you bulky
Oh.
or cause you to lose all your muscle gains. Is there any truth to that?
Not really. Our expert explains that as long as you're lifting weights consistently
Oh.
and fueling your body properly, you can incorporate cardio without sacrificing those hard-earned muscles.
Okay.
In fact, cardio can actually complement weight training by improving your cardiovascular health and endurance,
Right.
which can ultimately help you push harder during those strength sessions.
So it's all about finding the right balance
Exactly.
between the cardio and the weight training.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, another myth that I've always wondered about is spot reduction.
Yeah.
The idea that doing endless crunches will magically melt away belly fat. Is that even possible?
Unfortunately, spot reduction is a myth.
Okay.
Our expert explains that fat loss happens throughout the body, not just in specific areas.
Okay.
So it's all about creating that overall calorie deficit we talked about earlier. And where you tend to lose fat first is largely determined by genetics.
So those targeted ab exercises are still important
Yes.
for building muscle and strength,
Absolutely.
but they won't necessarily, target fat loss in that specific area.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, now that we've debunked some common cardio myths, let's dive into some more advanced techniques that can really take our workouts to the next level. What does our expert recommend?
Well, one technique they highlight is interval training,
Okay.
which involves alternating between high-intensity bursts and periods of rest or active recovery.
Right, so we touched on HII earlier.
Right. Yeah.
But you're saying interval training can also be incorporated into steady state cardio.
It can by adding like bursts of speed or increased resistance.
I've definitely noticed that when I add sprints into my usual jog, I feel the burn a lot more.
Exactly. These intervals challenge your body in new ways
Right.
and can lead to greater improvements in cardiovascular fitness and fat burning.
So it's all about mixing things up and keeping our bodies guessing.
It is.
What other advanced techniques do they suggest?
Another one they mention is incorporating incline or resistance.
Okay.
This could involve walking or running uphill, increasing the resistance on a cardio machine, or adding weights to your bodyweight exercises.
That makes sense. Adding resistance not only increases the intensity, but also helps build strength and power.
Absolutely.
Before we wrap up, I want to touch on those bonus tips that we mentioned earlier
Yes, great idea.
to make cardio sessions even more enjoyable and effective.
Right. So first up, music is your friend. Create a playlist that pumps you up and makes you want to move.
Music can be such a powerful motivator. It can literally transform a mundane workout into an energizing dance party.
Right. And another great tip is to change up your scenery.
Okay.
If you're tired of the treadmill, take your workout outdoors.
Yeah.
Go for a hike, a bike ride, or explore a new running trail.
Fresh air and sunshine can do wonders for the mind and body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of the mind, don't forget to focus on your breathing.
Oh, that's a good point.
Proper breathing techniques can improve your performance and make your workouts feel less strenuous.
That's so true. It's amazing how much of a difference mindful breathing can make.
It really is. And finally, remember to listen to your body
Right.
and give yourself rest days when needed.
Okay.
Rest is just as important as exercise when it comes to achieving your fitness goals.
So true. Well, I think we've covered just about everything there is to know about cardio for fat loss.
I think so too.
We talked about the importance of creating a calorie deficit,
Right.
the role of weight training, the best time to do cardio, how to gauge intensity,
Yeah,
and even debunked some common myths.
we did.
We also explored some advanced techniques to kind of take your workouts to the next level and
Yeah.
shared some, bonus tips to make your cardio sessions more enjoyable and effective.
We did.
So we hope you feel inspired and ready to make cardio a fun and effective part of your fitness journey.
Absolutely.
Remember, it's all about finding what works best for you
Yes.
and sticking with it.
Yeah,
So keep experimenting, keep moving, and keep those fitness goals in sight.
great advice.
And if you ever have any questions or need some extra guidance, you know where to find us.
We're here to help.
We'll be back next time with another deep dive into the world of health and fitness. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.